Can you hear the birds? Can you hear the rain? It's a beautiful day, but it is raining even with, we've got clouds and sun. So, hi, thank you all for being here. My name is Hank Linderman. I'm running for Congress here in Kentucky's 2nd District. I'm the Democratic nominee, and I'm so glad you're here to be with me. Dennis is here, looks like. As always, I'm your host, Hank Linderman, running for Congress in Kentucky's 2nd District. That's just south of Louisville, heading down to Bowling Green, and then from Owensboro across to Danville, 21 counties. Davis, Hardin, Warren, Bullitt, Nelson, Barron, Boyle, Meade, Mercer, Breckinridge, Grayson, Hart, Hancock, LaRue, Washington, Garrett, Jessamine, Greene, Edmondson, Butler, Spencer. I've been to all of them. Got friends in all of them. Mark Andes is here. Hey, Mark, glad you're here. Well, welcome. It's Tuesday, May 19th, and as you all know, we're trying to open the country up again, and I think a lot of us are being pretty careful and careful about how we're doing it, and some of us are being casual, which is probably going to lead to trouble. Let's look at some numbers. Here we go. This is from the USA yesterday. We had 1,003 new deaths. Again, as always, a tragedy. The good news is these lower numbers seem to be holding, but 22,630 new cases, those actually have been increasing a little bit. That's from yesterday. Now, interestingly, remember that over the weekends and I saw another source say today that Mondays are not great days for record keeping. They're just a little bit slow. Hi, Mary. Glad you're here. So let's look at USA today. And the day is not over yet because we are on this worldometers.info is set up to be on Greenwich Standard Time. So we've got another 3-4 hours before the day closes out, and already we're very close to yesterday's total. So as always, we don't want to put too much stock in these. On the other hand, it does look like the numbers are coming down, and if we can get a little bit of luck here, we might have some good news going on. And I don't want to dampen anybody's spirits. When we have good news, we need to accept the good news, but we're going to be cautious. All right. So Kentucky yesterday actually had an increase. We had 12 deaths, so they shot up a little bit. And that's a little bit... it's a little bit disconcerting because we had been very, very low. But let's have a look, for example, at Warren County, which is where Bowling Green is. And if you know about Warren County, that's Bowling Green is, by the way, the home of the Everly Brothers and the home of the Corvette. So if you've ever seen a Corvette, it came from Bowling Green. Some car nut's going to correct me, like maybe the first couple of years they were built in Detroit. Help me out, you car nuts out there. Anyway, Warren County is actually the number 2 amount of cases in the state behind Jefferson County, which is where Louisville is. And Warren is not the 2nd largest county. Fayette is the 2nd largest amount of population. So this is of some concern. And Grayson County is having a little bit of a breakout too, because in the jail we have some inmates that are testing positive, 3 more inmates. So they're having some difficulties there. And there are also various retirement homes that are nursing homes that are having troubles. So we are in the middle of this experiment. We're going to see what happens. And of course, we had the news yesterday. President Trump is taking hydroxychloroquine. If you haven't heard that, I almost don't even know how to respond to it. And he's apparently been taking it for a little while. He's taking hydroxychloroquine with zinc and with I'm trying to think of the antibiotic, but with an antibiotic, probably with the Z-Pak, azithromycin. Why is he doing it? He says he's taking it as a prophylactic, as a preventative. Now that drug, by the way, gets used as a preventative for malaria, and malaria is almost wiped out in the whole world. But if you go to Africa, you'll be given. Mark Andy says Adderall. Yeah, that's funny. He might be taking that too. Who knows what the Trump is on? The Trump. He's on all sorts of things. He's pushing Obamagate, which is kind of crumbling around him. He's pushing the idea that we're all safe, but he's taking hydroxychloroquine. It's just kind of crazy. But I want to share some good news with you, if that's all right. So first, this is regarding antibodies. And this is a study that you can find on Bloomberg. And apparently the COVID patients that are testing positive, they aren't actually infectious. So probably what's going on, this is a guess, I'm not a doctor, we all know this, is that they've got fragments of the virus, and that's setting off the test. So they're testing positive, but they are not infectious and they don't have the disease. And that implies that there's a possibility of resistance through antibodies. So I think that's fantastic news. That's a study, by the way, that's going on in Korea. So Korea is one of those first world nations that did a spectacular job, South Korea, of dealing with the virus, as opposed to us. We've done a really, really terrible job. You know, by the way, I showed a stat yesterday, and I think it was on Fox News, and they had a little COVID, and I'll show it to you again when I find it. They had a little COVID thing, and they were showing deaths per millions. And based on deaths per millions, the U.S. was like 4th or 5th in the world. Number 1 was Belgium. If you've been a regular listener here, you know that if you'd been a regular listener here, you would know that Belgium does a better job of counting, and that if everybody did as good a job of counting, Belgium wouldn't be number 1. But they are aggressive about the way they count. And the United States, of course, we're not, and President Trump wants to negotiate the numbers. We want to negotiate them lower. This is one more example of the failure of this guy. But we have some good news about antibodies. We've got some other good news that is political good news for Democrats, and that is that the Secretary of State in Michigan has announced that all Michigan voters will get absentee ballot applications at home. Now, absentee ballot applications is not the same thing as an absentee ballot, I don't believe, but we will see. But I still think that's a big deal for them to do that. And then one more bit of big news before we talk about kind of a more general subject, and that is you all know about Roe versus Wade. The woman who was Jane Roe as opposed to Jane Doe was a woman named Norma McCovey, and there's a picture of her there. And she won her court case. Notice Gloria Allred is holding her hand. But years later, she recanted and said that she was against abortion. Well, guess what? She didn't actually change her mind. She was paid. And that's kind of amazing to me, because we've spent all this time, we're dealing with people who are against the choice, against a woman's right to choose how what she's going to do with her body. And they've paid someone to lie to support their case. So there you go. Here's some of the text about it. She came out against abortions, and but before her death in 2017, she was part of filming a movie, and in the movie she said, "Yeah, they gave me the money. It was all an act. I did it well. I'm a good actress." And by the way, you'll be able to see the movie. It premieres Friday on the FX network. So since you've probably run out of all your good streaming options, this will be something else. And there she is there. So that's kind of fascinating. Well, the next thing I want to talk about, and we'll expand on this, is about Liz Warren. Now, Joe Biden has announced that he's going to choose a woman for vice president. And however you feel about that, one of the women that you'd have to consider is Elizabeth Warren. She was, of course, the female candidate that lasted the longest, as I recall. But she has a big drawback, and that is she's a sitting senator in a state with a Republican governor, which normally would mean if she wins the election, if Joe Biden chooses Elizabeth Warren as his vice president and she wins the election, then a Republican governor would get to choose her replacement. And we're at a point, Democrats, that we can't afford to lose a single seat, especially in the Senate. and especially in our list of governors, our lead in the House of Representatives might be strong enough, but we don't want to lose one of those either. However, it looks like, and it's way more detailed than I want to go into here, but I would suggest you go to Bloomberg and see if you can read about it. There are various maneuvers that can go on. For example, the Democratic House, Democratic legislature there, can force the governor to call a special election. So there's some ways that this may work out, that if Elizabeth Warren is chosen to be the vice presidential nominee and she and Joe Biden win, that worst case we would be without a Democratic senator in the state of Massachusetts for only 4 or 5 months, which would be a problem. Actually, only 2 months, I believe, which would be a problem, but not insurmountable. So I'm going to switch back to the main view here and just get a look at you all. Part of an interesting project, which is a friend of mine reached out. He's an attorney, and he's got some friends who are involved with the Democratic Party, and they're doing a little project where they're proposing who the cabinet members should be for Joe Biden. And there are 8 of us who are participating in it, and we're going to have a Zoom chat later this week and discuss about it and kind of fuss over it and argue it, and then hopefully send those recommendations to Joe Biden's campaign. So, but I think this is a fun idea. It's an interesting idea with the caveat of you have to win the election first. No sense measuring the draperies until you got the House. Okay, so we need to win this race, and as always we say, if we're going to win this race, it means we're all going to have to help. And you can help by, you know how. You get involved with your local party. You get involved with the Indivisibles. You make sure you're registered to vote. You get other people registered to vote. You contribute to candidates. And by the way, thank you. I got after I did my broadcast yesterday, someone sent a very nice contribution. I want to thank you, Jim, for doing that. So, and by the way, to contribute to me, here's our QR code. Still waiting for that first Venmo. Come on, folks. Get out your Venmo. Send me $1. I'm back here. I also got word, I mentioned it yesterday, and it's been confirmed, the UAW is endorsing me, and I'm very, very proud of that. We'll get something to announce that, but and they're going to make a very generous contribution, so I'm really grateful for that. Anyway, thank you all for being here, as always, and Mary Richardson says she would like a woman vice president. I'm fine with a woman vice president. I don't have any problem with anybody for vice president. We need to win the election. So whatever we do to win the election is where I'm focused, okay? So Democrats, let's do the right thing. Jeff Whitman says, what the hell is Venmo? Oh, Venmo is an outgrowth of PayPal, and it's an app you can put on your phone, and it lets you instantly send money, and you can do it by pointing your phone. You open up your Venmo app, and you say scan, and you point it at the QR code like that, and it'll go, oh, give money to Hank for Kentucky, and then you just pick a number, you know, anything short of $2,800. $2,800 is the maximum, everybody. But you can send $1 if you want, and it shows up in our Venmo account instantly. Venmo's very handy for if you're going out to dinner and you want to only get one check, and then you can share through Venmo. You can pay each other through it. So Venmo is very, very handy, and some clients that I have had only pay me in Venmo. But so it's mostly the younger people. So us oldsters, we can learn this. We can do it. And you oldsters, by the way, if you haven't done it, sign up for Twitter. We'll be teaching you how to use Twitter here coming pretty soon. All right. I love you all. I hope you have a great day. Hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for all your support. I'm going to send you back to the lakefront, and I will talk to you all later. See you tomorrow. Thanks.